always give it up for my good friend, Mr. John Ciasulli. How you doing, Johnny?
I'm doing great.
Alice Cooper, you got to tell us a couple of the Snake stories. Well, first of all, when you worked with Alice, you were a drum roadie.
No. The whole time I worked with Alice in the 80s, I was the special effects, props. I built the guillotine. I built the...
No kidding.
Oh, that was my gig. I sang backup vocals off stage.
Did
absolutely. I sang backup vocals with Bette Midler as well.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, back in 94. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it was, it was gang vocals, and I had a bunch of acting parts in the show.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I had the one tour, I think I had 14 different cues where I came out wearing one outfit or another. And I mean, my job was to do, like I said, built all the big props, fill the blood props, do the, I had so many different kinds of things and it was one of these jobs where the production manager just said, hey, jump on, I'll show you what to do, man. You know what I mean? You'll pick it up in a couple of days, no problem. They were replacing the guy who was doing it. And I spent 2 days doing, helping him out, setting up, getting everything ready to go. And then the third day I took over and did it myself. And then the fourth day, I went in and can I have a word with Alice? I want to talk with him. And I went into Alice's bus and I just said, introduce myself, I'm the new guy, blah, 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 whatever. And I was a big fan of Alice growing up.
Right, yeah.
Huge fan.
Well, we all were.
Yeah.
Still.
But I am in the back lounge of his bus going, dude, is it okay if I stretch out a little bit? Because I got a couple ideas here that'll be kind of cool. And he was like, well, as long as it's not something that disrupts the show. I said, no, I think it's something that's going to add to it. And that's when we started putting blood in the balloons and all this shit. That was my idea. Yeah, I totally went to him and just said, I said, so, during the song Elected, we put out these big, huge balloons, these 8-foot diameter weather balloons. And there's 3 red ones, 3 white ones, and 3 blue ones. The red, white, and blue, and he's doing the song Elected. So I said, well, at the end of me because I'd take them out and hand them to him on stage, I filled them up and I put like confetti in them. I put baby powder in them, so when they blow up, there's a big puff of white smoke. And then I started putting baby parts in them because I needed little heads. So rather than just throwing the legs and the arms out, I started putting them in the balloons, which he thought was a riot, of course. So I said, well, when I come out and hand you the red, white, and blue ones, the last 2 I'm going to hand you are going to be black. And he's like, what's going on? I said, go put blood in them. Come on, it's going to be awesome. And he was just like, really? And it's fake blood and everything like that. And I put enough coffee in it so that it shows up really good under the lights. I got together with the LD and we decided what was the best mixture of the fake blood and coffee or water to water it down or whatever we needed to do. Wow. So I would get it under the lights that were going to be on when this shit went down. Right. And then I would mix it and say, okay, this is going to be perfect for that and this for that. Well, the last 2 balloons I hand him the first night are black. He takes the first one and he starts doing this and he lets it go and it catches the floor lights as it goes off the stage and explodes. And I had about 1.5 quarts of blood in there and it went all over the audience. And it was the first time I ever saw him break character on stage. He turned around and looked at me and he was laughing his ass off. He had this big grin on his face. He never did that. He never broke character at all. And he just looked at me and he was like, yeah. And it was like, I hand him another one and then it was in the show from there on out. It was, wow. He really, really dug that.
Well, right on this wall right here, Alice Cooper, roadies test the noose first. This was from, 1980. This was an actual newspaper, the Roadie Gazette.
No kidding. I've never seen it. Never seen it.
I have had that since 1980. And I really, when you see the other one, this is very ironic. Meatloaf, pay roadies more than the band. Well, I can assure you that was not true, I don't think, when I was there. But it might have been in my case. I don't know. Paid me very well, but I was a longtime Meatloaf guy.
Yeah.
And but there's an Alice Cooper thing. So you also looked after the Snake.
Oh yeah. Snake was he was under my command, whatever. She, depending on what tour. It was a different Snake every tour.
That's crazy.
I would have to have that thing in my hotel room. I'd have it on the bus with us. I'd have to feed it in the hotel and bathe it.
Bathe it?
Oh, yeah. Well, bathing it was a piece of cake. You just turned the shower on warm and let it go in the First of all, it'd almost always take a shit in the bathtub or a piss because it just dug the water. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that thing would like coil up on a ball on the floor, and his head would be about this high, looking right up into the water as it came down in the shower. Oh yeah. And then for after bathing time and all that
God.
shit, I just put him on the edge of the bed and turned the TV on. And he would just.
That's insane.
All the snakes did it. They would just get fixated on the television, and they'd sit there all night. I could go to the bar and come back 3 hours later, and that's exactly where it'll be, sitting on the bed, just staring at the television.
And he said once a maid came in and there was something about a maid. So what happened with the maid?
Oh, that was a good one. We were in a hotel where we actually had to share rooms this time. And it where it's back in the 80s. It happened back in those days. And,
Sure, you had to share rooms.
I had Junior underneath the sheets with me. He was watching TV and his head was up here on my chest like usual. But the rest of him was curled up underneath the sheets. And I was like, I'm going to go take a shower, So I threw the blanket over him and I went and got in the shower, and the maid came in wanting to clean the room, and Timmy Gallup was my roommate, and Tim just didn't even think about it. He said, well, yeah, go ahead, make his bed, whatever like that. And she whipped the sheets down and found 48 pounds of reptile under them sheets, man. I heard that girl scream. I was in the shower. I just started laughing. I knew what happened. And I heard her scream, run through the apartment, and I heard her screaming all the way down the hall. From the shower, I could hear this, man. She just completely lost it. But it was funny. And, the snake, what does he know? He's just sitting there minding his own business.
Oh, my God.
TV's back on. Hey.
It's a far cry now from the old days.
We had a lot of I used to bring the snake down to the bar and shit like that if we were sitting around the bar hanging out, and my production manager on several occasions said, hey, why don't you get Junior or bring him down? He likes to hang out. And if there's 4 or 5 guys on the crew, they're all sitting there, he'd stretch his way across 4 or 5
Really?
guys. Oh, and everybody would just hang on to a piece of him and pet him, and and like he was really, he'd moan. And it would go on for a minute at a time.
Really?
That's when you knew he was happy.
Really?
He would moan. Yeah. It was really funny.
Anyways, I really appreciate you coming over, and thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me, dude. It was
you know-
it was a pleasure for me to come by and say hi, brother.
Yeah, well,
Always good to see you.
This is just a quick, couple of good Alice Cooper stories, and I never knew that about you being the prop guy. So.
Oh yeah, totally. That's what I did for 6 years for Alice. I did work for him in '96 as well. At '96, I was guitar and keyboard tech
Right.
on that. But I
Wow.
mean, that was only for it was a 3-month
Right.
thing during the summertime.
Right, right.
But it was it was good. Yeah. Although my most horrendous stories with Alice were definitely back in the '80s, though.
Wow.
Back in those
Yeah,
days,
right.
it was.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, he
So-
was still on fire. I mean, he was primarily really the '70s was his cup of tea. But
In the '80s, when I was working with him, he was the only sober one there. And I'm not trying to say anything about what the crew was up to, because we were wow. But Alice was sober the whole time I worked with him. But he was. I tell you what, dead on. I've done over 1,000 shows with the guy probably, and I've never seen him turn in a bad show ever.
Thank you so much, my brother. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for coming, and we'll do it again.
Absolutely, love to.
All right.
Bye, everybody.